How many of you remember going to Chuck E. Cheese as a kid? You know, the one place where you play as many arcade games as you possibly can, eat as much pizza as you want, and there were these amazing prizes you would win if you got enough tickets. Man, that place does have a lot of memories behind it. For this particular story, I'm going to tell you an experience that happened to me there. Whether you believe it or not, I'm going to tell you to the best of my knowledge, with as much detail as I possibly can. And just for the sake of the story, I'm going to change some names around, just so nobody else has to worry about privacy issues. So here it goes. My last memory at Chuck E. Cheese. It was a Friday afternoon, and I specifically remember having so much fun. I was going haywire on every single arcade game you could possibly think of. One of my favorites was actually the Jurassic Park game, where you had to shoot the T-Rex. Oh my goodness. The amount of tokens I had to spend just to keep that game going. Not to mention the pizza there was delicious. I remember having half a slice and just thinking this is the best pizza in the whole entire world. But you know, the other thing that caught my eye was Chuck E. Cheese and all the other animatronics there. It really did fascinate me at that age, wondering if they were actually real or if they were just fake for the show. I guess on this specific day, I learned the actual truth of what was going on behind the scenes. It was my mom, dad, my cousin Junior, and I. That's all I can remember for right now. Junior and I were actually playing a huge game of tag, and boy do we like to go back and forth a lot. Now this one particular time, we literally had about an hour until close, so we really had to make it worthwhile since we were still there. It was actually Junior's turn to count, and my turn to hide. While he was counting all the way from 10, I decided to go hide in the bathroom. All I can really remember is that I was running very fast, making my way past everybody, then towards the bathroom, trying to find a place to hide. Don't ask me why, I was just a kid. As soon as I made it to the bathroom, it was pitch black and I fell down to hit my head really hard on something. Then I quickly hid in one of the stalls, trying to be as quiet as possible. It felt like hours had gone by, until I finally decided to come out and see what was taking Junior so long. To my surprise, as I opened the bathroom door, literally everybody was gone. And I mean everybody. It was quite scary. I guess the store had apparently closed. It was literally a ghost town at this point. Everywhere I looked, there were barely lit arcade games, and the place was extremely quiet. I kept thinking to myself, what's going on? Is this some kind of sick prank? Or is there something else going on that I don't even know about? My first instinct was to call out for my mom and dad to see where they were, but there was nobody in the entire building. It was just me alone in the dark, and with whatever else may be lurking. I tried running to the entrance, but found out that the doors were actually sealed locked, so they would not be opening until tomorrow morning. I thought to myself, what am I going to do? So I literally stayed there in this one corner, just analyzing how dark it was, and how different Chuck E. Cheese felt after hours. And let me tell you something, the feeling was overwhelming. So overwhelming that I could just feel the silence and darkness crawling over me. Even though I was scared out of my mind, I thought it was the best idea to try to go look for an adult, just to see if they could help get me out. Everything looked completely different, and it was almost as if my eyes were playing tricks on me, because I kept seeing things move out of the corner of my eye. I thought, I'm going to scare myself to death if I don't try to get my mind straight. So I decided to do a bold move, and I hate dark places, especially when it's quiet, and you got those creepy animatronics just staring at you from a distance. Ugh, I can still remember the feeling, and it's not good at all. I decided to walk to this corner where there was a doorway that led to the backstage. I wasn't sure where it went to, but I figured somebody had to be back there. I mean, they couldn't just lock me in there, right? At least that's what I thought. When I opened up the door, there was a huge hallway that was barely lit by a couple lights. And let me tell you, this was just the craziest thing I'd ever done, considering the fact that I didn't like the dark, and I wasn't familiar with anything around me. But I had to do something. So I continued down the hallway, up until the point where I came across this one room. There was a door wide open, and I was sure there was some kind of exit through there. Or maybe there was just some kind of nice security guard checking the place out. I was really debating for a couple minutes if I should go through the door, or if I should just go back to where I was, and just pray that somebody would come find me. But I turned around and I thought it was too far to go back. I decided to take the chance, and to my surprise, when I went in, I did see something. I couldn't tell what it was, but I knew for sure this was probably the only way I could get out, unless I wanted to stay there overnight. I saw an exit sign and continued walking towards it, but the thing I had seen was in the way. Turns out it was a big animatronic of Chuck E. Cheese just standing there, out of place. And it was kind of weird. Why would they have an animatronic of Chucky blocking an exit door? I couldn't stand to see the look on this animatronic's face, just staring back at me. And it almost seemed as if every time I moved back and forth, it would follow. Every little step I would take. This thing was taller than me. It had to be a good 7-foot figure. But why was it there? That was the only thing I kept thinking about. I didn't want to stick around to find out. I was just looking around to see if there was some other way out, when I noticed he started to move. His mouth opened wide. Why did it do that? And considering the fact that it just looked like a prop that wasn't connected to anything. How is this thing even moving, was my question. I had no idea. It was really creeping me the hell out. I got a bad feeling that this thing was more than an animatronic. I thought if I just took one step away, something was going to happen. And as I was thinking to myself, I actually heard it start to laugh. I cannot stress how chilling that laugh was when I first heard it. It was definitely enough to get me running in the other direction. As I was running, I kept hearing footsteps follow me. Every time I turned a corner, every time I tried to lunge past a different room, it kept coming after me, faster and faster. All I can remember at that point is that I took a hard right just to see if I could lose him. And I wound up in this mysterious hallway. Then my worst nightmare became true. All the lights went out automatically. And after that, it was pure silence. I didn't know what to do. I just stood my ground, and I was just trying to make extra sure that I didn't hear anything coming from a distance, or that I myself didn't make any sudden moves that could possibly signal my whereabouts. I pretty much had a heart attack when I heard the laugh of Chuck E. Cheese again. At that point, all I can remember is screaming, then him charging me out of the darkness at full speed. And then employees were suddenly waking me up. I was on the floor and my parents were around me, so was my cousin Junior and a few other people. I kept thinking to myself, what happened? It turned out that a guest had informed an employee that I actually had slipped on the way into the bathroom. That's when I had hit my head, so hard that it knocked me unconscious into this kind of weird dream, or nightmare, as I like to call it. I was still in disbelief, and I kept looking at everybody saying, "Did you all ever leave? Did you close?" And an employee said that, no, they were just about to close right then. It was a relief to hear that I wasn't going to have to stay the night in that place. You know, the strange thing is, though, that a few weeks later, that Chuck E. Cheese had closed down, because apparently there was somebody that got locked inside. There was a boy around my age, and the thing was that they never found him after that. It was weird. It was literally only not even 10 minutes after the lockup that parents noticed the child was missing. And they thought he was probably inside the Chuck E. Cheese. But when they reopened again, there was no trace of him, except for one shoe on the floor. That's all they could find. And oddly, there was one specific spot where I remember there was that door that led me backstage. That was the last place that he had supposedly been seen, and where the shoe was found. The chills that ran down my spine when I heard that. I thought to myself, what if my dream was actually a prediction of the missing child? What if the kid was left there and Chucky got him? I guess we'll never know, nor do I ever really want to know. Luckily, I'm old enough now to say I'll never go back to Chuck E. Cheese, ever again, especially after my nightmare that I hope wasn't a reality in some kind of other dimension. So the next time you decide to go to Chuck E. Cheese, just remember there's more that meets the eye. And you never really know what happens when the lights go out.